I keep working my way back to you, babe. Give yourself a great big hand. Thank you for being here. Unity of Houston. Wow. So there's a CEO that announces that he is going to be retiring, and people were quite shocked, and he invited all of his young executives to come to a meeting, and he decided to tell them that a year from then he would be picking someone to replace him. And he gave them all a seed. And he said, go home, plant your seed, have it grow, have it become something, and a year from now, bring it back. And I'm going to pick my next CEO from that demonstration. So Jim takes his plant home, his seed, and he and his wife, they fertilize it, they water it, and every day go out, there's nothing happening. And it's like all the people at the office are talking about their big plant, their shrub, you know, all the things that are growing, and Jim's like, our plant isn't doing anything. And he asked his wife, should I tell somebody? I mean, they all got growing plants. She said, no, this is what your seed is doing, so, you know, you just let it be. So here they come a year later, and they all are toting these big plants, big shrubs, and have to have people to help them. And here comes Jim with his little pot, not doing anything. And he goes way to the back because he was so embarrassed. And so the CEO says, Jim, is that you in the back? Come on up. He went, oh my God, he's going to totally embarrass me, my seed that did nothing. And he comes up and he says, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like for you to meet your next CEO. And people are shocked. He said, you see, when I gave you that seed, I gave all of you boiled seeds, so they would not grow anything. And all of you that are bringing in these plants and trees, it is because you went and traded your seed in for something else. So Jim, it's your turn. You know, I think about that in spirituality. I think about that in my own path. I think about that in your path. So many of us, we went and traded our seed of greatness in early on. Maybe the need to be liked, maybe the way to be understood, maybe the light was shining too bright upon us. It could be a variety of reasons, but we traded our seed of greatness in to be in a place of sometimes settling for who we could be. Do you resonate? Does this work for you today? I'll ask you that because I have a few more minutes. The seed for greatness that was and has been embedded within you, for you to be the original idea that brings to the world what you are, more than just a unique thumbprint, but a real level of your essence and your beingness that we're all longing to see and experience. And talking about the time change, it reminded me of a story of every year, whether it was fall back or spring forward, I'd call my dad and I'd say, Dad, which is it this year? Do we go forward or do we go back? And he'd go, well, Temple, this time we spring forward. And I would say, are you sure? And he said, girl, why do you even call me if you don't believe what I'm telling you? And I thought, you know, that's the way God feels. We ask for direction, we ask for guidance, and yet we question. We question. So this seed that has embedded us to greatness, it reminds me of the story of a woman in Montgomery, Alabama. I know that you've had a big celebration about Black history. We do every year at our own community. It's so important for us to have that integrated soul consciousness on our planet and to not forget what has happened from the level of history. You know, our history, it describes us, but it does not have to define us if we're willing to bring some new things into our lives, yes? But in Montgomery, Alabama, I'm reminded of a woman that perhaps that particular day she was tired of trading her seed of greatness in for something else. And so she sat in her seat, and I could picture it right now with Rosa Parks. I could picture it that somebody said to her, you got to get up. The coloreds can't sit here. And I can just imagine that she goes, this is my seat, and I am not moving. Say that with me. This is my seat, and I am not moving. How many of you right now have given up your seat? Maybe for health, maybe for wealth, maybe you've given up your seat in your energy, your power, who you could be, what you are, your talent, your music, your art, whatever it is. How many of you have given up that seat and let somebody else take its place for you? Because see, it will never work. Your seat is only yours to do. Only your beliefs, only your consciousness, only your life, only your force can ever bring it to its true manifestation of what you are destined to do, to be, and to have. I love the quote by Victor Hugo that says, "There is one thing stronger than all the armies of the world, and that is an idea whose time has come." Time has come. Wow. When this happened in November with Paris, it was devastating. You know, hopefully for you, it woke you up as well. It woke you up into the energy field of your embedded seed of greatness. And I was telling our congregation at St. Petersburg that my mother is of French descent. Her last name, maiden, is Vermilion. I took French in high school. I worked for a French company, and I could speak about a paragraph in French, and that's about all I could do. It never really fit I never mastered it as being a strong language in my life. And I think often in these events, these things happening in the world, more than ever is unity people, as unity philosophical, our own theology, that when these events happen in the world, we don't want to pretend they're not happening. We want to step right into them. We want to step into them. We want to know it's happening, and we want to give people a new way so it does not happen. We want to show people the possibilities of greatness and oneness, not in a way that's ethereal, but by the way we live and move and set examples in our lives. Do you agree with that? Do you get excited about your life? And so in that particular space, I think about the power of greatness. I think about what it takes to be great. And one of the things that clearly defines a great person is the ability to be grounded. To be grounded, to be a lighthouse, not the rocky boat. To stand steadfast in the midst of things going around him or her. And just being aware of it, as Jesus would say, to be in the world, but not of the world. To be aware that it's there, but let not it alter you, not make you weary, not start joining the other clubs, throw in your seed, forget about greatness, let's be with the weary club. Oh, and all the stories that they can tell. How bad can it get? I don't know. What about you? You think it could get any worse? I don't know. Our call is to be grounded, is to be great. Grounded requires, as we say, the level of prayer that we do. It's taught here all the time by your beloved ministers. Meditation, that sense, connecting to Mother Earth, being part of that experience. But grounded is also often misunderstood because people think of it that it means I got to be strong. I got to be strong. I got to have a lot of strength. You'll hear people say when they perceive themselves as failures, oh, I just wasn't strong enough. You ever heard that? You extroverts say yes. Thank you for helping me. I want to give you a little example of what it means to be strong. How many of you have had the experience of being in the kitchen with somebody and they can't get the top off the jar? Oh, and they strain. Oh, they move the muscles in their face. Then they went out and they bought one of those little plastic things at the Dollar General that you squeeze around it. Well, it's so interesting, you know, and usually the person just comes along and you go, wow, you know, you're strong. How'd you get to be so strong? And yet the secret is you just take a little knife, you put it up under, you pop the air out, and it just comes right off. So now you can prove that at home to people and impress them because they'll just think you're that strong, yes? Well, what's the point? I know you're wanting to know what's the point. You might ask me, what's the point? Thank you. The point is that often when your greatness is tested, often when you feel it's tested, you tend to think, am I strong enough to walk through it? It's not about strength. It's about the ability to let the air in. When you are working with the no longer and the not yet, it's the ability to sit in sacred space and not make a decision at that particular time until the new comes into your life of who you are becoming. When we rush around, when we think, am I strong enough to walk through this? When we jump to the next place, what we're not hearing and what we're not seeing often is the new emerging, us coming to greet us. And what we do is we tend to operate from a same past paradigm over and over and over again. Does this resonate with you? Can you relate to that? And so it's learning to be grounded, to be in that place of waiting and seeing in what then is going to demonstrate in your life. Great people are also people that they can be in reality, but they are clear about what they need to do to be into that strength and into that awareness. Jesus did a great teaching when he had a many things had been going on, and he decided he would show his disciples some new things. And so the disciples are on a boat out in the water, and they look up and there's Jesus. What did Jesus do? He started walking across the water, and they're like, get out. I mean, get out, you know, can you believe it? I mean, wouldn't that have been cool to be there, like walking across the water? And Peter goes, is that you? Well, if it's you, then teach me how to do it. I want to do it. Okay, so be it. So Peter starts walking across the water. Wow. But what did he do then? What did he do then? You know the scripture in Matthew, right? He starts focusing on the storm. He starts focusing on the exterior. He starts focusing on the problem. He starts focusing on the challenge, not focusing on the new direction of his life, and therefore he falls. That happens to so many people in our society. I certainly used to do it. I'd go out and win a trophy, and people would be so impressed, and then the next week I'd be in jail. I'd go out and I'd do something really profound and make the paper. You know, a year later, I'd be in jail. You know, I do something interesting and provocative for my family to create some kind of self-acceptance from them, and then the next thing you know, I would go and just totally screw up, sabotage any potentiality of that seed of greatness that was in me. And I suspect that that is true for some of you, only getting so far, yes, but then always going on the path behind. You know, there's a saying, and I certainly know it probably applies here with all the traffic you have here in Houston. You're an amazing, vibrating city. There's a saying you probably say sometimes, you can't get there from here. Am I correct? You can't get there from here. You can see it, but you can't get there from here. And so in that space, that's also a great metaphysical awareness. You can't get there from here. Here is only what you know. Here is your information, your data, your internet processing, your Facebook explanations, your videography, all that. That's what's right here. Here is where you may have a cold, or whether you're desiring to be wealthy. Here is where you long to be loved. Here is where you want, you have, you need, you're wanting to step into that greatness. But it's over there. There. It's the thought of there. It's the frequency of there that you draw from. It's the way that we heal ourselves of a cold. It's the way that people move through the idea of cancer and some of the other strong epidemics in our lives. The greatest epidemic we have on our planet today is the ability that people make promises to themselves and they don't keep them. Everybody breathe. The biggest epidemic on our planet today is people make promises to themselves and they don't keep them. Let's do another breath. You have been made a promise by your Creator. It's not only a promise, it is a covenant. It says very clearly by law that you are given this covenant, that you are to be your destined greatness. No story, no excuse, no reason. You just simply are. And what I had to get is it took more energy to keep being the same than it did to allow myself to move into the unknown and to move forward. Yes? It takes a lot of holding on and control to keep things the same. So what is that? What does that look like? How to get, what is over there? And what needs to be in your consciousness in order that that become realized? It's definitely based upon an energy and a vibration that you are not allowing to come in right now. But once you do, once you turn that radio station to the right signal, you wake up and there you're there. You believe me? Do you get excited about it? How many of you are excited about it? Very good. We got a lot of extroverts in the room today. How are you doing? God bless you. Yes, it's part of that process, part of that life. I truly love the quote that I heard on radio not long ago from Robert Clancy. He said, you know, I would love to thank you from the bottom of my heart, but there is no bottom. I would love to thank you from the bottom of my heart, but there is no bottom. We can't outlive nor outgive God. There's no bottom. If you've been hurt, welcome to the Hurt Club. If you've been disappointed, it's because you have an appointment somewhere else. If you've been disappointed, it's because you have an appointment somewhere else. Welcome to the Hurt Club. You have now been destined and designed for a greater life. Give yourselves a great big hand. That's what it's about. That's what it's all about. When I was growing up as a little girl, I used to love the once a year when we could go on vacation with my father. Gave me an opportunity to get to know him a bit. We'd all load up in the car. My little brothers, we'd be in the back seat. We'd be seeing all these things along the way in this 8-hour trip, you know. We'd go, wow, look at there. Oh my gosh, dinosaur park. Oh God, look over there. Dad, let's stop, let's go. He'd say, we can't, we're on vacation. We got to get there. The neighbors were able to make it in 7 hours. Maybe we can get there that quick too. Well, you know, I truly believe that past 30 years old, you can't blame your parents anymore. You know, otherwise, let's go to therapy and use our chaplains and stuff. But that being said, I have had to really work on that one. I've had to really work on that hook that I'm supposed to get there, that's somewhere else, that I'm not standing in. You relate? Oh, and I'd get hooked. You know, and things are just going so great. I mean, I have the most magnificent life, and something would come along and it would hook me. I would perceive that I needed it, career-wise or whatever, and so there would be the hook. And I was doing pretty good. I'd gotten myself, you know, did some more journaling and processing, and I thought, you know, maybe I've let go of Mr. Hook. Well, here I was at John of God. I didn't have any agenda. I was there waiting in line to meet John of God. I didn't have any expectation. I didn't collect any data from anybody. And things are going well. And I'm in the line, and I'm just as calm as I can be. And Reverend Diane Scribner Clevenger from Naples, Florida, she's behind me, and she said, I can't wait to see what John of God says about you. She said, you know, Reverend Howard, when he was here, you know, John of God saw him in the line and said, oh, are you a minister? Good. The next day, I want you to help us out. I went, Hook. Well, I go through the line to see John of God. He didn't even look up. He didn't look up. He didn't say anything. I think they kind of mumbled, you know, something about operation. I'm like, great, take this off. No. So, a year later, I'm with one of my friends. He's called the John of God in the U.S. His name is Rob Wergen. We're out to dinner. And so he starts talking about his travels and his healing, and oh yeah, and I was there at John of God, and John of God had them pull me out of the line, and he started having translators talking to me and saying, oh, we need to have you come and join our team, and I'm thinking, that's just so great for you. You know? And then, of course, you know, I tucked all that misunderstanding in, and I went, come on, Temple, just be happy for him. And I went, that's so great. That's so awesome. I didn't say anything. Oh, goodness. I just went in prayer. So the next day, we have a festival at our community, and there were a group of women that they were doing psychic readings, you know, for like 5 minutes or something, $15. I mean, cheapest ideas in town. So I went, oh, great. So I go in, I don't know the lady, never met any of them, and she starts telling me things, and she was spot on. I mean, I was like, wow, you are good at this. And then she goes, do you have one more question? And I went, oh, no, I don't have. Wait a minute, she says, wait a minute. And she grabs my arm and she squeezes it. John of God is coming through. Does that mean anything to you? John of God's coming through, and he said to tell you that he did see you. He did see you. Little things, the moments of your life when you're captivated, when you're in the space of what you don't know, in a heart place, where that presence and power of God envelops you and reminds you, you are my beloved. You have embedded within you a seed of greatness. I'll close by sharing the story of this woman who had a dream. This great big green dragon is chasing her, and she's running. Chasing her, and she's running, and all of a sudden the dragon grabs hold of her, and she goes, oh my gosh, what are you going to do with me? What are you going to do with me? The dragon looks at her and says, I don't know, lady, it's your dream. I don't know what life is going to do through you, but I know through you, life has a destiny of great things. Thank you for coming today. Bless you.